What's up guys, this is Cher talking, welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I'll be talking about Romancing SaGa UniverSe news. We got the announcement of the Romancing Festival T260G banner that brings 3 different styles from SaGa from Tier 1. We already have all the information on them, so this is a preview. And starting with T260G, she's a gun user, and we have 124 DAX, pretty good enough. Very high endurance with 106%, but just 80% wheel. That can or not be a problem. With 94% agility, you have good enough values. Love and charisma are just on the average sides. Starts the fight with 12 BP, and then grants self this solid defense that will give you a defense boost when attacking. That decreases damage taken by 15%, lasts for 2 turns, and also collapse grants defense down. Every time you attack the enemy, you also apply a defense down that decreases their defense by 10%. And also this onslaught program that will grant yourself this laser mode after attacking, and will activate a skill called Axe Beam. This is a C power skill. That's a little confusing when looking at all of this, but it will get better later. Then by the end of a turn, cleanses all ailments on self. When attacking, recovers 1 and 1 random ally HP by around 250 and recovers 1 BP as well. So the character has at least 4 BP per turn, but gets more than that. By the start of a turn, gets heat up, that increases damage potential by 30%, reaching as max as 150 by turn 5. So you don't start with defense boosts. You have to rely on your solid defense to apply, but you can get very high values of defense and you will not take too much damage. Why? Because you have 2 sheep skills with 0 BP. They are free and they are about blunt and hit damage. One will give you solid defense for 3 times. The other one will give you self-collapse for 3 times. Solid defense for 3 times will allow you to get that defense boost that decreases damage taken by 15%. This will stack. Collapse will just keep applying defense down to the enemy. It's used for boss rush stuff. But the most important skill is the third one, and it has 12 VP cost. It will attack randomly 3 enemies with E power only, and it will grant onslaught program for each attack. What is onslaught program? It will give you this X beam for the next turn. That's right. You get 3 hits of E power, not very strong, but you get 3 hits of C power in the next turn. And when you attack, you would just trigger another onslaught program the next turn. So you actually keep a cycle of usually using skill number 3 with 3 hits. And you will always have at least 1 chase with EX beam. And then if you don't have enough BP, you just attack the next turn with 1 hit. And then you still have the 3 chases. And you keep this cycle of having at least 4 attacks with T260G. So because you will always be chasing, you actually recover at least 5 VP per turn. And sometimes a little more than that. So you can cycle perfectly skill number 3 and 1 after a while, so that you have a good setup of damage while also just boosting defense. Or if you want, decreasing the enemy defense. So it's good because you are also giving VP to someone else, but it's just pure damage and it covers blunt and heat. I think blunt is plenty on global right now. Heat is not as much, but if you already have the latest version of Polka for heat, you are pretty covered. And T260G not offering enough to the party makes it a little easier to skip, but it still has very good damage if you want to use it for long fights. But it's also the definition of a SS plus grade in the future, since it will lack utility moving forward. Then we have Princess White Rose, and she got buffed here in global because of her skills. Very low endurance like most mages, just 72% and 84 will. Could be much higher since Princess White Rose is a mage that has support, 112% intelligence and 82% agility. Another thing that could be much better since she buffs and she needed to be fast. So I think they just wanted to give her a little bit of everything, even STR, because she could inherit sword skills, but who would do this? I don't know. She does have Scrum Guard. When everyone is alive, reduces damage taken by 20%. When attack lands, recover BP by 2. This is interesting because she will attack a lot, especially if she's on overdrive. Then on recovery actions, recovers 2 BP to the target and grants the attack boost, increasing damage potential by 20%. increasing their attack potential by 30% and reducing damage taken as well via defense boost by 20%. When using an overdrive attack, will activate skill number 3 and also has a 25% chance to recover the usage of skill number 2 by 1. We'll be talking about this. And by the end of a turn, gets 25 points of overdrive gauge. Passive 3, staff intrinsic 4, so 20% damage potential, 37% chance to evade a resist attack, and 40% damage reduction when attacking by a resist attack. So, first skill is just free, single target, Sun and Pierce spell. That's just used when you don't have anything to do. But skill number 2 is interesting because this is from Enya. It's a 5 BP spell that can recover, revive, and will also grant guard up medium, decreasing damage taken by 25%. The healing should be enough to get most people to high enough HP. Her love is good enough as well. Guard up does not stack with other guard ups, but usually bring characters with defense boost anyway, so it will just work. And she will have the chance to recover the usage, as you can see here, by using skill number 3. So we will be using skill number 3 all the time because it's a 10 BP double S power spell, and like I said, needed a higher agility. That will buff STR, Endurance, Intelligence, Will, Love, and Charisma. So 6 status, it does not buff Dexterity, and it also does not buff Agility. Buff Follow is just 25%, and grants this heal blasting. By the end of a turn, you have a 25% chance to recover HP of everyone by around 300, and will also clear all status ailments by 2 turns. So this is kind of the evolution of Bunny and Media that also gives a passive that has 25% chance on each one of your characters to trigger that 300 HP healing. By average, you heal at least once, but you can heal sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, sometimes none. It is interesting because of the cleanse effect as well that can help you, but RNG with cleanse is not really that great. But just remember that when you are attacking on overdrive, you're going to get another use of this one. And when she's attacking, she gets at least 5 EP per turn to cycle skill 3 and 1. And if you're using her with Charade, and if she gets into overdrive all the time, she can actually keep using lots of buffs and damage. It's nice, yeah, but sometimes buff break happens and it may be a little too hard to keep up running, but it depends on spiral corridor levels. Sometimes buff still works, and if you're running an STR or intelligence-based squad, you can just protect yourself versus damage and increase your damage potential and healing effects. So that's a pretty good, interesting buff for global that makes Princess White Rose much better than expected, and I believe that she deserves a triple S grade based on that. Support units are still very valuable, and she's a little unique in a way, but not better than running Nawal's daughter or Liz, in my opinion, because those are still easier to use when you want to just buff, but she offers damage, something that you don't see much in those other 2 units. Moving on, we have Rouge, and sadly Rouge is not that great. He has 73% endurance, but 96% will, much better, and 102% agility and 121% intelligence. Those others are also not that great. Moving forward, he will increase shadow damage for all allies by 20%, so he wants to be used on shadow parties. And on Battle Begins, he will also grant this elemental attack, blasting, shadow, and defense boost to all allies, something that we saw before, and it will just give you a 35% damage reduction versus shadow damage. Now for passives, he will increase 20% damage when attacking with shadow spells or attacks for everyone in the party. Also, by the start of a turn, he will grant this attack blessings. When using shadow attacks, you will grant yourself a defense boost of small effect, decreasing damage taken by 15%. This will be for everyone, and it will be amazing for people like Rock Bouquet that attack multiple times. So Rouge himself does attack multiple times, but the skills are double hit, but not double attacks. Then we have Shadow weakness down to all enemies every turn. That decreases their defenses to Shadow by 20%. So you have 20 offensively, 20% by decreasing the enemy resistance, and you still have the defense boost. This defense boost will last for 2 turns. That means that if your whole squad is based on Shadow, they will just keep getting better and better defensive, like Pyrex. Then on start of turn, we have the shadow increase for 30% shadow damage. You can reach 90% damage increase, and when attacking with shadow attacks, recovers 2 BP. Then we have 30% damage increase at all times, and 30% damage reduction at all times too. So you can eventually just get very defensive with your shadow damage attackers, but the damage potential of Rouge is just average. Skill number 1 is a 2-hit attack with shadow, and it's random. That's something that we saw in the past with Leonid. The second one is an 8 BPC power AoE attack called Cyclone Noise that can debuff intelligence and will by 20%. That's actually pretty nice, to be honest. Skill number 3 is a 9 BP deep power 3 to 5 hits attack that has just shadow damage. For 9 BP, it's pretty similar to what you get with Scatter Explosion that got released like 2 years ago. It's not bad, but just one element, and shadow is not that easy to find weakness in the enemies. So, and because it's just shadow, well, not all enemies are weak to shadow, and I really love to use Rock Bouquet, but in the end, it's just here and there. On Remembrance Battle, it works all the time, but also staves are very easy to handle anyway. That's kind of similar to Alkaiser as well, that is also using a weapon that's super common in Marks. But the thing with Rouge is that although he gives the defense boost, it needs to be on a full shadow squad. It needs investment. It needs people that likes to use full elemental squads that are not bad, but just very restricted into investing in a character that can do this type of support. So if you already have Liz, you have very good support for defense. And if you have Saruin and you want to make your shadow squad even better, I guess we are running out of slots to make a squad. But the biggest problem is that you won't find many bosses that are weak to shadow as much as Slash, Blunt, Pierce, and other elements. The character itself is not bad, but again, for the current game, we can talk about an SS Plus grade because this is not really game changing, and we'll get stronger shadow attackers. Rock Bouquet is already stronger, although she does not give this defense boost to everyone. So he's more of a party supporter than a full nuker. So I don't really recommend pulling on his banner. If you have gens, go for Alkaiser, because he will give you more value if you get Asilos as well. Many people may get much more from these two characters. They are damage dealers for the future that offer some sort of support, while Princess White Rose feels more like in line to the current support units that we have. Although she can be very good when using Venture, she is the only stellar unit from the banner. It's super easy to skip Rouge or T260G if you don't want to use these characters. So I believe the banner is just Bronze Plus award, meaning that even if one character is good enough, it may not be worth of your gens. With all that said, this is my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. And if you want to support the channel, we have links on the description. Hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye.